Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's episode, I want to make a focus on all the dates related to your labor transactions. So basically those are your hour journals posted within project management and accounting. Those can be timesheets posting or project hour transactions. So the reason behind this is I always get feedback from the customer asking, what's the difference between your project date, posting date, and also the voucher date? Given that your labor cost has a direct impact on the payroll process, so it's very important to understand which date stands for what and where that information comes from, and also within the system what flexibility you are having to make changes. Right, so within this episode, I will walk you through each scenario and let's talk about all the different types of the dates. So without further ado, I'm going to first show you the labor transaction, so the hour journal setting. So to get there, I need to find my project management accounting module. And similar to the GL module, you're going to have a journal names here under journal section. And one thing to remember is this journal name is specifically designed for project transactions. And in our scenario, that's about our journals, right? But when you talk about project expense transactions, that journal name is still managed under GL module. So we'll have a look at that later. So now let's focus on hours. And then you see the journal type is set hours. And what I want to highlight is here, the setting, set voucher date to, right? So from this drop down, you can select the voucher date being the project period end date, ledger period end date, or project date. So I'm going to create 3 transactions so you can see the difference. Let's put the first one, set voucher date to project period end date. So let's say in the business world, I have someone enter the timesheet which gets posted in F&O. And then within the scenario, the person entering the timesheet, let's say, is on today's date, September the 10th. So that means the work has been completed on the date of September the 10th. However, when you post that transaction, you can choose what's the posting date and which date should be considered for payroll processing, right? So that's the main purpose of this voucher date. Now, currently, we're set this date to project period end date. So that means depending on how you set up the period end date, the system is going to make the posting date the same as this period end date. Now, the question is where this project period end date comes from. So quite straightforward, I can give you the answer right away. This information is based on your resource period setting. We're going to see that in a second. So now I'm going to save this setting. And we're going to create in another tab a new project transactions. So let me refresh this. And then I'm going to get back to my project management accounting module. And now let's get into a project and create an hour transaction. So I will filter on my project date projects I just created. And now I'm going to create my hour journal in the project, in the journals, and let's create a new one, right? So now I will change the description to voucher date equals project period end. So remember what I mentioned, this voucher date is coming from your actual resource period. So that's their timesheet entering period dates. So now I will go to lines. Let's add a new line. First thing, project date, September the 10th. That's our scenario. That's basically on which date this work has been effected. Okay, and then I have my project ID, category, I'll leave it to PM. And then resource, now let's say I will pick Wendy as an example. So Wendy entered this hour transaction, and you see now we need to fill in the total hours. I'll put 10 hours. All right. So that's everything it requires. So I will save it. Now let's see, in the general tab, you have a field called voucher date. And the project date is set to 9/10 and the voucher date becomes 9/15. Now the question is, is this information coming from the resource? We can have a check right now, right? So now we will click on this resource ID, which brings me to the profile. And then there's a field called period types, right? So for this resource, the timesheet or our transactions are based on the employee weekly period type. And then within this period type, I'm going to check what are the generated periods. So from there, we'll be able to know what's the end date of this period, right? So now I'll scroll down to stay in 2024 and then find this week period, week 37. So 9/10 is part of this period. And then you can see the end date here is 9/15. And that matches our expectation that the voucher date is set to the period end date. So I hope this is clear. And then now when I come back on my transaction, so let's come back and then I'm going to post this transaction. And you're going to see once I post it, the actual posting date will carry this voucher date in this scenario. So let me go back and then we can check it from manage, posted transactions, and this is my transaction on the project date September the 10th. So very important, when you use this screen, remember this date is not your posting date, even though we are at the posted project transaction screen. This date is your project date. If you want to see the voucher date or the posting date, you need to click here, View Voucher. And then here you have the posting date, or the same as the voucher date, 9/15 is the end of this period. So this is the first scenario I want to show you based on this journal name setting, right? Now let's move on to the second scenario. You can also set this voucher date to a ledger period end date. So very self-explanatory. Ledger period end date, that's based on the GL, the company ledger setup, right? So now I can open up another tab. We can see this ledger calendars. So to get here, you can go to GL and then scroll to the right, enter calendars, find this ledger calendars, right? Currently we're on 2024 and then period 9, so that's September. If I find USSI, you can see that currently we're open and then the end date of this period is 9/30, right? So now we can go back to our journal names and then I'm going to save this setting and then I can go back to my project transactions. Let's create another hour journal just to test this, right? So I'll go back and then same place in the project. I'll create an hour journal again. And here I will add a description, voucher equals ledger period end dates. All right, let's go to lines. So basically the same setting and then project date same. I'll leave it to 9/10. And then resource, I'll pick Wendy, but it no longer has any impact on the voucher date because it's based on the ledger now, right? And hours, I'll give 20 hours now. And then we can see in the general tab, now your voucher date has been updated to 9/30 as expected to the ledger end date, right? Okay, so from here, I can post it just to make sure on my actual posting, the posting date matches my voucher date. So I'll go back and again, coming back to manage, posted transactions. Again, here this column is project date. And then my second transaction logically should be the next one. And then also with the total amount a little bit higher. Otherwise, you can also add a column here just to show the description to find it easily. So now I will view voucher. And here the date is as expected, 9/30. All right, now we can move on to the third scenario. Again, I will go back to my hour journal setting and then change the set voucher date to project date. So that's very straightforward and we just need to test out the same date has been used for posting. So I'm going to save it and then go back to create a new hour journal, enter project, create a new one, and here change the description, voucher equals project date, total 30. Okay, we're going to do that at the line level. So create a new line and then same project date, category not changing, resource, it doesn't matter. Okay, and then I will give 30 hours in this case. So again, we'll check the general and you see directly the voucher date is the same as the project date 9/10. So it's as expected. Posted, same results. Right? So let's just double check. I will go back and manage posted transactions. Now for the third transactions, we can see the posting date is also the voucher date 9/10 based on project date. All good. All right. So this is a very straightforward process, but I just want to make sure for each scenario you understand what the date represents and also where that information comes from. All right. So I hope the content is helpful. Please let me know if you want to see other topics. And also feel free to check out other available videos I have uploaded, and very happy to interact with you guys and let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next episode.